Good morning and welcome everyone. My name's Cynthia Duval and I'm here at the Cornell Farm Kitchen Garden. Today I'm speaking with Master Herbalist and Certified Aromatherapist Amanda Lattin. Known as an expert in her field, Amanda Lattin has over 20 years of experience teaching chemistry and aromatherapy. She also is the owner, creator, and master formulator at her company, Terracina Aromatics and Herbals, where she formulates, produces, and sells high-quality plant-based medicines and offers private aromatherapy sessions. Welcome, Amanda. I'm very happy that you and your son Noah are joining us at the farm today.
Thank you for having me.
So my first question for you is, what is aromatherapy?
So thanks for having me here today. Your farm is just beautiful here, and aromatherapy is a really interesting modality. So technically it's the use of essential oils to promote health and wellness. So we use them to promote physical, mental, and spiritual health of the individual. But anyone can experience aromatherapy even without interacting with a bottle of essential oils, because you can interact with the plants that carry the essential oils, and they release their essential oil constituents into the air. Actually, that's what they're designed for. So essential oils are really an aspect of plants' communication, and when we are around essential oil bearing plants and we smell them, we're smelling their essential oils, and they're basically talking to us. Our systems recognize that language, and so when we inhale an aroma and we can smell it, that's our olfaction, that's our sense of smell. And we have these little olfactory epithelium here in the top of our nose, and they have all these millions of little neurons that reach out and bind with aromatic molecules that are in the air. And it's a very quick synapse from that olfactory epithelium to our twin olfactory bulbs in our brain. And from there it talks to all the different centers in our brain, including our limbic system, which is where we process memory and emotion. So we have a huge response to smell, and memory and smell follow the same pathway in the brain. So you actually have a smell associated with each one of your memories, even if you don't consciously remember that smell. So when we utilize aromatherapy as a modality and we introduce essential oils to an individual, we can actually connect with them on a very deep level, because we're also connecting with memories that they have, and that can be a very healing process for an individual. Aromatherapy also helps shift our perception of our environment. So even though our circumstances may not have changed, our perception of that environment has changed, which can help release stress, release anxiety, promote sleep, and even, subsequently, ease pain, support digestion, things like that. So it's a very interesting modality that crosses a lot of fields, and it's very versatile. It's very easy to use, and it can be used in a lot of different situations, from in your home to in a clinic or in a hospital.
God, fascinating. So I have a little follow-up story. I talk to hundreds of gardeners that come here to the kitchen garden, and so many of them, as soon as they smell the herbs or the citrus, they start telling me about how they grew up with that particular plant, and all the memories that it brings back about family love and togetherness. And so I have good examples from lots of people about that kind of memory, emotions aspect of fragrances in the kitchen garden. I know that you are the founder of Terracina Aromatics and Herbals, and I would love to hear you talk about the roles that you play there as both scientist and artist.
My original background was in chemistry and in education, but I went back to school for aromatherapy and herbal medicine after the birth of my son. I had a very difficult delivery, and I really was seeking help for myself that I couldn't find in allopathic medicine. And I decided to just go back to school and learn how to support myself. And after I went through that process, I decided to found my business to help other people who needed the same type of support. And I designed my own line of aromatherapy blends that I've been making by hand and selling now for about 14 years. And I've had some clients with me that whole time. They really love using that as part of their self-care. But I also am an herbalist, and I've taught many different workshops to the public and also for other healthcare providers about how to use plants, even from very simple manners like in your garden or in your kitchen, all the way up to how to use them as part of your self-care routine. And so I do herbal consultations and aromatherapy consultations as a practitioner, and then I source all of the herbs or herbal formulations that I use in my practice, and also the essential oils that I use to either make my product or create custom blends for my clients, so it's more individualized. And I think that's something that's really important in holistic health, is that we can individualize it. And here at Cornell Farms, you help people individualize their gardens, which is the same concept, that we're really choosing which plants either suit our needs or suit the environment that we're growing in. And I use a very similar philosophy when I'm teaching people how to use plants to heal themselves, is that you're looking at the environment of you and choosing plant medicine that supports that.
I love that, the environment of you. So tell me, is there such a thing as a typical aromatherapy session?
You know, there really isn't a typical aromatherapy session. As I was saying, it's very individualized. So it can be as simple as putting a few drops of essential oil on a cotton ball and inhaling the aroma, which is actually a technique that's used in many hospitals to help people in pre and post-op for anxiety, for pain management, for nausea. Or it can be more involved, like some of the session work that I do in my office, where I create an aromatherapy formula for an individual. We put it on acupuncture points to help stimulate those points, so it's an alternative to having the needles in. I also use tuning forks to help stimulate those points, you know. So it's more of a session work, like what you would expect to receive from other provider. Or we can do foot baths, or, you know, run a diffuser and have an individual sit in a recliner and just inhale the essential oil. So it's a very versatile modality that doesn't have a box that it lives in. It can take a lot of different formats.
It sounds like a lot of fun and relaxation to come and visit you. Love to do that. All right, next question. How do plant-based medicines differ from the medicines our medical doctors prescribe?
Many medicines that are used in allopathic care originated or were inspired from plants. Aspirin is a great example of that. But in pharmacy, one of the main differences philosophically that it has from plant medicine is what we call polypharmacy. So a plant extract is going to have many different chemicals in it, even hundreds of different chemicals in it, and they all work together to create the therapeutic effect from either eating that plant or, you know, taking an extract of it. Whereas pharmaceutical drugs typically only have one chemical that's in them, and it creates one therapeutic action. You know, and philosophically, we, as I was saying before, we look at it as the environment of you. So in plant medicine, we usually create compounds using several plants to help address the person's whole picture rather than just one symptom, right? And we see that as more effective. Now, certainly plant medicine, holistic medicine, and allopathic care both have their very vital roles, and I think that they work together to provide the best health for an individual. But that's the predominant difference between taking a pharmaceutical drug or a plant extract.
I love what you shared with me in a previous conversation about the health benefits of forest baths. Tell us what a forest bath is.
So forest bathing in Japan is called Shinrin-yoku, and it's amazing to read the research on it because it's very complicated. They're trying to figure out the best way to measure the effects, but to simplify it is basically coming into an environment with nature and interacting with it and the therapeutic effects that we see from that. And it's multifaceted. It's the different constituents from the plants that are in the air that we're inhaling and interacting with, as I mentioned earlier. It's also the interaction with the color and what we're seeing visually. And then it's our body's response to connecting with nature, which we don't fully understand how to measure scientifically and study. But in Japan and in other Asian cultures, that's actually something that can be prescribed by your doctor for stress relief or insomnia or anxiety, is forest bathing, where you go and spend time in nature. And a project that I've been working on over the last few years, I call it the Sidewalk Project. And I'm teaching urban dwellers how to interact with the plants, the urban plants, to achieve the same effect. Instead of feeling like, well, I need to get away in order to find this space that's healing for me, I want to teach people who live in the city how to interact with the plants that are growing here to find that same support. So urban forest bathing, if you will. And I really enjoyed working with that project, because the plants that live in the city are just as happy to interact with us as the plants in the forest. So that's, in a short summary, what forest bathing is.
Nice. How can parents and children get started exploring aromatherapy and plant medicine in their own garden?
So it really is very easy to start exploring plant medicine, and I tell people that, you know, just walking up and touching a plant. So we have a beautiful rosemary plant here, Rosmarinus officinalis. And with rosemary, the essential oil is really easy. Just taking it and rubbing it between my hands. I don't even have to take anything off of the plant. When I pull my hands back up, I'm going to be able to smell the rosemary essential oil on my hands. And so you can just cup your hands and do 3 deep inhales, and you've given yourself aromatherapy. Basil here is another wonderful aromatic plant. Now obviously rosemary and basil are both used for culinary purposes, but they also are considered herbs. So they're both. So the first way is you can just come up and interact with the plant, especially if it carries an essential oil like basil and rosemary. So just rubbing my fingers here, this is going to release some essential oil out of the plant. And again, I'm going to pull my fingertips up and I can smell the basil essential oil on my fingers. So that's really the first way. And children love to do this, to teach them how to just touch the plant gently, smell their fingertips, and then they're going to get aromatherapy. Now, rosemary and basil are both very stimulating. They help increase blood flow to the head, so they're very relieving for headaches for that reason, and they're very awakening. Now, you can incorporate them into your cooking as well. Or what we love to do as herbalists, especially if you just have a little bit of plant, is to make infusions into your drinks. So you could add them to lemonade. For example, in the summertime, children love mints. That's one of their favorites, and you can just have them interact with the plant and then add it into like their lemonade, for example, and they're going to start learning about that plant. Or making simple teas is another way to do that, or finding a recipe where you can explore that herb for culinary purposes. Also, you can save your herbs from your garden and dry them and then make potpourri sachets, and that's another really easy way to create home aromatherapy. And from there, oftentimes people get really interested in it. You start buying books and taking classes and buying more plants and really building your knowledge.
It's true. I've seen that here since we started our medicinal garden last season, and it's been just really fabulous. How a lot of times it's the kids that are bringing the parents in to help them get what they need for their gardens. So the kids are teaching the parents to love plants. It's really cool. So thank you so much for coming to speak with us today, Amanda. It was a pleasure to learn about aromatherapy and to get all your insights about how medicinal plants assist us in our daily life. That completes our aromatherapy conversation with Amanda Lattin today. We really hope you enjoyed it. I'd like to invite you to come and visit us at the Cornell Farm Kitchen Garden. We will be delighted to show you our medicinal garden projects and the wonderful medicinal herbs that we sell. You can go to www.cornellfarms.com to sign up for our mailing list and hear about other educational and gardening events that we have here at Cornell Farm throughout the year. Thanks for coming by to see our movie, and we'll see you next time.